hours, and students are just kind of popping in and out and stuff like that as needed. And I think I'll probably do this just on a normal basis when we get back to normality.
Yeah, my background is my physics library. And for example, I was showing my students this book here, The Theory of Sound by Rayleigh, a original beautiful text. I had that for a long time. And last week, I love when, before they closed Powell's, I love Powell's bookstore. And so I bought this book here called Studies in Physics from 1870. It's over 120 years old, in perfect condition, and it just has these immaculate pictures in it of old apparatus for all kinds of things. This is the 0G. That little apparatus there, for example, is free fall inside of a glass tube with a pump on the top of it. It's just fantastic to have that resource at Powell's here in Portland.
Hey, Toby, you're not sharing your video. Your video isn't being shared.
Oh, really? Oh.
No, I can see Toby's video.
I wanted to see Toby, so I went up and I pinned his video to my screen for a moment. So if you go and click on his photo, they should open a box that says chat or pin video. Mm-hmm. And then I pinned his video so I could see him only on my screen. And when you're done, you can go back to switch to sharing content.
I don't know, this is the book I was talking about, Studies in Physics from 1870. And this is some kind of an apparatus there to study vibrations, I guess. But you can see. I mean, this is the kind of thing I love to collect from the Powell's bookstore, which is they have etchings, and this is for example, the spectrum in the front of the text, and this is the front page of this is the title page of the text from 1879.
Yeah, I have to say I love, every time I'm in Portland, I always spend $100 worth of books at least and have them shipped back. It's addictive.
I know. So that's my background. I did set up a whiteboard right behind me, and that's going to work good to welcome my students and do my equations along with my iPad. I had to spend $150 on an Apple Pencil, but it was. I think it'll be worth it.
So can we start the meeting? Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. So let's have introductions, and in the introductions, can I ask you to share whether or not your college is already doing the remote teaching, if you've already been using all these things we talk about this past week? Because sometimes we talk with a lot of authority as if we were really doing this already, but I want to know which colleges have been doing this already. I'm in New York, I'm speaking from Long Island, and we had a 2-week spring break. So I haven't, I will only test drive everything this coming week and then adjust this coming week. So for those of you who have already tried, introduce yourselves and let us know. I've already tried a few things, and this is what worked for me, and this is what I would recommend you never try. If you can tell us something good and something don't do it, if you've already been doing that, that would be great. So hi, I haven't tried anything yet. Glenda from Suffolk County Community College in New York. Go ahead.
And my name is Greg. I'm from Lynn Benton Community College in Albany, Oregon. Our school very wisely expanded the spring break to 2 weeks long. I think that was a brilliant move. My only experience has been giving exams over the internet. And it worked really well to use Zoom to proctor an exam, I think. What I would encourage you not to do is don't have students email the exams to you. Rather use something like Gradescope to have them scan in their exams, and it makes grading much easier.
You said Gradescope?
It's called Gradescope. And Glenn and I were thinking that next week we would show off exam tips for anyone else who's given exams. And next week I'd be happy to elaborate on how that works.
Why not email them, Greg?
What you end up with, I thought since I only had 50 students taking the exam, that would make, I could grade those easily via email. It turned out, no, it was awful. What I've done in the past that would be a little bit better is have students upload all of their work into something like a Dropbox folder in PDF format. And then I can grade PDFs on my screen with a pen. And then they get the graded exams or homeworks right back to them immediately. I should have done that. That's what I've done in the past. Gradescope brings it a step further, where Gradescope breaks the exam up into pieces, and you could grade all the problem ones in a row and then all the problem twos in a row and things like that.
How do you write on the screen? Do you have like an iPad or something? Is that what you mean?
So I have a phone, a computer with it's an HP computer with a touch screen, and there's a pen that is designed to work on this particular model of HP that works very, very well.
Okay.
And there exists a piece of software out there called PDF Annotator. PDF Annotator, I'm writing that into the chat box, does a really good job of taking an existing PDF and then allows you to write on it very quickly, simply, and easily. It also has several little stamp functions. So if you'd like to give red X's or happy faces or things like that on your exam, you can easily just push the stamp and it makes the mark right there as you want.
Which HP do you have, Greg? We use the Surface at Casper, but which one do you use?
I have, hold on, HP Elite, HP Revolve, and I think it's an Elite book. HP has this particular line that they've been selling for about 20 years. And they've always had really good screen interfaces.
Is that the tablet PC interface?
Here, I will copy a link for this model of HP as well. And I'll do that in a few minutes. I'll let the next person go on and introduce themselves.
This is Tom Carter from Chicago, and we have been running classes for about 2 weeks. It wasn't the smoothest transition because it caught us, we weren't on spring break, so it caught us off guard. We have been using Blackboard Collaborate to actually run the classes. One of our adjunct faculty is a high school teacher, and she showed us an alternative, I think, to similar to what Greg proposed, is a piece of software called Shobi, where the students have an app on their phone, so they can take a picture of the quiz. We've graded like 2 weeks of quizzes. They take a picture of the quiz and they upload it. And the nice thing about Shobi is like what Greg described. You then get you get their screenshot and you can write on it, and it's automatically turned back to them graded. And there's also, it gives you a timestamp exactly when they turned it in. So if you say this quiz is due at 1 o'clock, if they emailed it to me, I would get the timestamp at which it hit my email box, which can not be a reliable time of what they turned it in. So Shobi gives me that timestamp. We're using Google Hangout for office hours. And I think I brought up last time, at the request of the students, it wasn't my choice, but anything to get them talking to each other, we're using Discord as the way for students to talk to each other, and for they can ask questions and I can monitor the questions and answer them, or students can answer their other questions. So just to have student-student interaction. They voted and they strongly wanted to use Discord. Wasn't my choice. But I can't think of anything that we've tried. We're in the midst of bringing up Pivot now. We ran a couple of labs using some PhET simulations. We're in the middle of looking at Pivot now. By the way, just a comment, I just got off an email chat with a guy at Pivot. If you want to buy Pivot seats to get you through the end of this term, they evidently have a special unadvertised deal for $5 a seat. That'll get you to June. It's $10 a seat if you want to go all the way to December, and we weren't sure we wanted to do that.
I'm Theodore Godis. I had 2 weeks off, just like Lena, but I sort of jumped ahead because I was a little nervous about doing this and making this switch. So our school is not paying for Zoom. They're having us use Google Meet. And I had 2 meets last week with 2 of my classes. This semester I'm just doing 2 classes because I was way overloaded in the fall. And went pretty well. I had 11 students out of 23 for one class and 10 out of 22 for the other class show up for the meet. The first class, you have different personalities in each class. The first class, they really are, that group stuff, I've got them really engaged with each other already. So they actually stayed on for an extra hour just to review more physics, which made me excited. The second class was very quiet. And so when we were done training, they all sort of took off. But what I've been doing, let me show you real quick. So I got the dry erase board. I ordered this dongle. It hasn't arrived yet from, I didn't throw it away. Wow. I forget what, I think it's called Astrolab or something. You plug it into the Thunderbird port on your iMac and it allows you to throw screens from your iPad onto your iMac, which I haven't tried yet because it hasn't arrived. So I was going to use that for writing on the screen maybe instead of the dry erase board. They all saw the board really well. That worked pretty good. I was able to project things on the screen and share, so that worked pretty well. Yeah, my first class who's really engaged and likes talking to each other. One person suggested Discord, so the student said she would give us a short presentation next week on how to use Discord, and she'll set it up for the class. And then I'll probably do that for my other class as well if it goes well. So I've been pretty happy so far. I'm just more concerned about keeping the other like 12 or 13 students on board for the rest of the semester. I need to start emailing people and see how they're doing. And I would also suggest trying to make it fun. Like I had one student, I had her sister last semester. She came in and showed us the latte art she made on her coffee. And then I said, hey, bring your parents. They can come and watch too if they want, just try and make it fun for them. So.
Theodore, I do have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
How does the Google Hangouts work compared to the Zoom in a classroom setting, do you think?
Well, the Meet, so I don't know if the difference exactly between Meet and Hangouts. So I've been using Meet. It looks just like Zoom, except it's missing stuff. So you can't raise your hand. Like I think there's a hand raising feature here. It looks like Lila has her hand raised right now in the chat. I guess some features about Zoom I'm not familiar with. I guess in Zoom you can form them into groups, which would be great, but I don't have that option on Meet.
Thank you, Theodore. That helps a lot. I find the group breakout really important.
Yeah, so I might have to I think it's $15 a month for Zoom. I might just pay for that and move them over there, depending on how things go.
It's a free Zoom though, 40 minutes.
Yeah, my class, I'm meeting for the full class period, so it'll be more than 40 minutes probably.
It's $14 per month.
Oh, 14? Yeah, I might just pay for that.
Our school has I guess an overall subscription to it. and stuff so that everybody has the full version of it.
Zoom has suspended the 40-minute limit for a lot of institutions. I signed up with my .edu email address, and I still have the free account. I had a meeting yesterday that went for almost 2 hours with students. So they still say it's 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you signed up with the .edu, there's a pretty good chance you'll be able to just keep going and they won't cut you off. I've experienced that more than once.
Has anyone used the group thing in Zoom yet? Does that work pretty well for putting them into groups? Is it easy? Yeah.
It is super easy and it works.
Yeah. I'm Furuzan Faridian, Santa Monica College. We have been, sorry if my voice cuts off. We have been we ran into it past week and a half. We have been teaching using Zoom. I do put them in rooms and it works pretty well. So I have a question up and then I put them in rooms. Very easy, very smooth. Our college does have Zoom, and we have also Canvas as the learning management platform. So Zoom is embedded in it and it worked really well. The way that I started my lessons, we just ran into it. We didn't have a break yet. It was like this. Started with writing on a board like this, and then moved on to an iPad and sharing my screen and all. But what I would like to point out is, if you're at home and your internet connection, if you have, like my case, we have 4 of us, myself, my husband, my college-age son, and my daughter who's a middle schooler, everybody at the same time, the internet can not be very reliable. So contact your internet provider and get yourself the better package. Is probably the same price if you haven't done it in a few years. Another thing that I did when we didn't have students at school, I went there and videotaped as many labs as I could, performing the experiments myself, collecting the data, and I'm creating videos of those, and I'm putting them on YouTube. So I will share as they come, as there are more and more.
Thank you. Yeah, I record all the meetings, so for students who can't get in, they can watch it later. I don't know if that'll help at all.
Hey guys, my name is Aurelian Balan. I teach at Delta College in the Great Lakes Bay, Michigan, Great Lakes Bay region of Michigan. And I've been using a Zoom equivalent. Do any of you use e-learning or Desire to Learn as your LMS?
We use D2L, but we don't have enough Big Blue Buttons accounts for everybody, so.
Got it. Okay, yeah, well, that's our primary LMS, and within that, there's something called Virtual Classroom. So it's just like Zoom, and it's got great features. It's working really well. Screen sharing using that as well. Been doing live synchronous classes. Attendance has been up at 100% for physics classes and about 80% for astronomy classes. And so it's been pretty good. The features that I've been doing that work really well and that I think you should do is I've been releasing 10-minute PowerPoint presentations using the narration feature within PowerPoint. That works well. Keep them short and just share them at any time. I know there are some privacy concerns with this, but also, of course, recording your synchronous stuff and then releasing it to your students, providing a link. That works well too, just when somebody can't make it too. What doesn't work well is doing too much. So if you feel like it's time to step things up and you make things harder for your students, don't do it. That doesn't work well. It's okay. There's a crisis going on. Newton's third law is really important, but their life is more important right now.
Can I ask you 2 questions?
You go for it.
Number one, how do you record the 10-minute PowerPoint presentations? And man, how did you get 100% of people to show up?
The physics, the second semester physics class I have has 10 students in it, so
okay.
That's one way.
Okay.
If you can just do a quick Google on narration feature within PowerPoint. It's built into PowerPoint.
Okay.
Yep, you can record audio and slide timings and then simply post it. And when they run the presentation, it'll run your normal presentation, but it'll be your voice and your slide timings.
Thank you.
The other thing that worked really well was WebAssign. no lockdown browser. I didn't want to mess with any compatibility issues with the Chromebook or anything. Just randomize the question order. Write some of your own questions so they can't look them up. It was really easy to write those. That was great, and used in conjunction with OpenStax. Here, I'll post a link. I don't know how many of you use OpenStax, but it's been so sweet having a free, we use College Physics from OpenStax, which is an OER resource. And oh my gosh, it's just so nice to have a PDF with like easily accessible, navigatable by a phone resource. So that's been a sweet change over the semester. It couldn't come at a better time. Those are the things that work well.
Toby Dietrich, I just haven't done anything with yet. Our classes start Monday, but he mentioned astronomy and astronomy. We created 3 astronomy online courses at PCC. Each course has 10 astronomy labs already adapted for online use. So I'm going to talk to Rod, and I'm going to get him to we're going to put all 30 labs on some URL for access for people who are teaching astronomy. So I'll this week or soon, I'll email that repository, wherever we put them, I'll email that out to everybody on this group email, and so you can have them for your astronomy classes. One other question, they were great. This little Friday afternoon thing works great, but I noticed that, I wonder if like the CUPE committee and the CS, the astronomy committee, are they doing similar things, or maybe we should try to promote this to other committees?
Yes, I have not done my homework this past week. I've done other things, but I did not get in touch with the other committees. I bet they're probably doing something, and I will hopefully reach out in the next days. Yep.
So Glenda, you connected me with Ken, and Ken did get back to me quickly, but there hasn't been anything that went out to the group, as I understand it. I think this group's a little more active, so I'm sure they wouldn't, the astronomy group in particular, wouldn't mind invitations to this group.
Interesting. Okay, so I gotta get in touch with a lot of other people soon. Thank you. More introductions.
Hello, I'm Dennis Gilbert from Lane Community College. And we, as other people from Oregon have said, we start a week from now. And I think at my college, there's some uncertainty about what formats we actually can use. So that's kind of slowing me down. And while I am going to try a few new things, I'll wait until I know how they turned out before I report. So that's my short check-in.
Okay, I'm Tom Herring from Western Nevada College. We found out Wednesday of our spring break that we were going to go live with remote learning classes Monday after spring break, which was this past Monday. We didn't have a ton of time to prepare, but so far things that work. I would second Aurelian's realize that students are in large part in crisis. I've got a student that works at a grocery store, an essential business here in Nevada, and he's busy all the time now. His schedule went from 15 hours a week to full time, and so he's having a tough time. There are a lot of students whose lives have changed tremendously. Try to keep that in mind as you make the transition. I think that's a really important point. Zoom has worked for me. I've done the Google Meet, Google Hangouts. It's functionally similar. I think Zoom is a little bit more stable. At least it has been for me, particularly with a non-awesome internet connection out in the desert where I am. And that's another thing about students. I have a lot of students that have not good internet connections. If you have students in rural areas, be aware their internet connection might be their cell phone. And that imposes some pretty severe limits on what they can manage at all. Other things that have worked, I have a touch screen, pen screen laptop. It's a teeny tiny pen. I don't know if you can even see it in comparison to my hand, but it's a little awkward, but it does work. That's what I've been using to communicate with students. I'll share my screen in Zoom and write on the screen. And what I've been doing is using OneNote, and I write in OneNote, and then I can save everything as a PDF that I can post for them to look at later. I've been trying to record as much as possible as well. As a side note resource, I did get access to my physics lab earlier in the week. Despite campus being closed, I do have a few vernier sensors, a couple of tracks and carts. I'm going to be making videos of things. I even got a magnetic field sensor. I saw somebody asking about magnetic field things. So I do have a few resources from the lab that I could video. Email me about that. And on the note of astronomy, I brought home my Takahashi FSQ 106 millimeter quadruplet fluorite from the observatory at my campus, which is also closed. But hopefully if we get some clear weather in Nevada, I will be doing some observing videos. So hit me up for that for your astronomy classes. It's not the same as looking through an eyepiece, but I'm going to try to get some observing for students online.
Just one thing, many of you mentioned that grading in the PDF will be better. And are you all aware that you can ask students to, instead of take photos, to scan their work and save as PDFs, and there are free apps for that, right? Oh, I have this background now. This background really doesn't help. But you have free apps online. There's one called Scan for Me. There's Adobe Scan. They're free apps, and the students would just produce a PDF out of their photos and send to you, right? Okay, that's it. I just wanted to make.
Yeah, I see people have typed some stuff in about exams here too, so I'm trying to read that.
All right, do we have more introductions? Because we do have an agenda and would like to go through the items. And this is good. You are also sharing. Please share what has worked and has not worked for you if you have already practiced it. Thank you.
So my name is Tony Musumba, and I teach at the University of Mary. I've been teaching at TYC for 11 years, so I'm a TYC at heart. But we started this Monday. We were kind of the last holdout in North Dakota. We just got off on Tuesday last week, and so that was our last class, and it's been exhausting for me. I've been using this big whiteboard, and Zoom has worked really well, although there are times when it hasn't quite been very good. And I don't think that doing a lot of synchronous has been good for me, because it's been very exhausting, because I have two classes, University Physics 1 and University Physics 3, which has almost 11 students. So that has been a good attendance, like 8 to 9 out of 11. And the other one has been 50% attendance of 22 students. So that's been good. But I feel like I don't think I can handle the synchronous all the time. Although it's good to connect with students, that has worked really well. And posting a lot of stuff on Canvas or learning management system has also worked out well. But as of now, I can't tell you how well my students are doing in terms of, there are some students that don't seem to connect in either way.
What is exhausting about doing the synchronous or asynchronous?
Well, the exhausting part is just that you're gonna post that video again, so you wanna get it right, and so sometimes you may have to edit it, and also if you don't like that video, you do another video which you're gonna post, just those kinds of things. And sometimes there was a time I had office hours and there was only one student who showed up, and so I had to spend that time with him, like 10-20 minutes, and then I posted that. And so with all the stuff you're navigating at home with kids and other things, it's just not easy. And sometimes you're thinking about which technology to use, and you're not quite so sure whether you should use this or that. So I think asynchronous seems to be kind of a good thing, although for connection purposes, you can do synchronous in terms of office hours, so that everyone is at the same level. That's my feeling.
I'm a little confused. So asynchronous means, so you said it was exhausting because you had to keep recording things because you were making mistakes, but that sounds like synchronous to me. And I guess what I was doing was more synchronous, because I guess I haven't been feeling as exhausted about it because I don't really care. I mean, they're interacting with me, I'm interacting with them, and I'm recording the whole thing to show later. So if someone misses it, they can watch it, I guess. So maybe not be so concerned about getting it perfect. Just like if you're in a regular classroom, you wouldn't be stressing yourself out as much about getting everything just right. You know, maybe if you had sort of a live interaction with the students and recorded it for sharing later with those who couldn't make it, and it would seem sort of live for them.
I'm sympathetic, Toby. I gotta say, I'm doing it all synchronous, and my hope is to remove all those recorded sessions from the web as fast as I can, because, you know, here I am with my PhD, and some student says, "Isn't that supposed to be a cosine?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're right, that's a cosine." That was one thing to have it in class, but oh man, to have it recorded for posterity on the web is not my idea. But yeah, we're doing it all synchronous, but you have my sympathy. It's having all those goof mistakes recorded is not my idea.
Yeah, that makes me uncomfortable too. I don't know if you can actually delete the videos though once it's in Google Space somewhere. Though honestly, I don't think your students are ever going to go back and watch those again, or anybody else. No offense.
I'm not doing anything synchronous. So this is Regan. I'm outside of Chicago at Harper College. I'm doing everything asynchronous. That's because I teach a whole bunch of non-physics majors. I teach the poets class. I teach the poets class with lab, and I teach the algebra-based class, which has everyone in health careers. A ton of my students are working completely different hours and jobs than they had just 2 weeks ago. I can't expect them to be online at certain times anymore. I have students driving to the library parking lot to upload their files to me because that's where the internet is, even though we're on lockdown. So dealing with all of that, I've made everything asynchronous, though I do have a ton of errors in my videos. I crack myself up on the video while I correct them, and it kind of looks like me anyway, making all those little cosine sine mistakes. So that's just my update.
How do you do it asynchronous? What are you doing that makes it, are you just recording 10-minute lectures over for each little thing?
Yep, lots and lots of tiny lectures.
How are you dealing with attendance then, if they can actually come in at any time? Because that's one of the things that our administration wants to have is attendance records.
We're not required to have attendance records, but there is a movement that's scaring the heck out of me that we have to have office hours starting next week, and I'm looking into that. I don't know what that's going to be.
What do you use to record those videos?
My phone and Screencast-O-Matic, the combination of the two.
Hi, my name is Kai Cai, and I'm teaching at Roger Williams University. We had also 2 weeks of spring break, but this past week we have started synchronous classes while I'm teaching labs. While we have decided to cut down on number of labs, so I'm going to start my lab next week. So I haven't tried anything yet. So we are using a learning management system called Bridges. It's actually based on, I think the brand name is Sakai, S-A-K-A-I. And Big Blue Button has like embedded into the learning management system. So that's what we are going to use. It's called meetings inside this learning management system. So I've tried that with students during office hour, and it's quite similar with similar to Zoom. There are you can raise hands, you can share screen, and you can also create breakout rooms. So I've used Zoom before. I still use Zoom for some tutoring. So I guess I don't see any big issues from that. But still nervous because the lab is going to last like 3 hours long, and students are going to work in groups in breakout rooms. So I'm not sure how it will work out. That's my status. Thank you.
Well, if nobody else wants to go, well, do you want me to say something?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I was kind of waiting for everybody else, but I taught this last week with Zoom. Our classes, the class met. I had one class. The two classes are online, but the one class met. We met at the same class time we would normally have met. Everybody, was able to log in from home. What we did was there's a lab that I assigned. We're doing the Faraday's Law, so the right-hand rule and law of induction and stuff. And try to do that on Zoom, when these kids are trying to contort, and you can't really see the three-dimensionality of it and everything. And so that's what we did this week. But as far as labs go, they had a lab that I had sent hooked up into Blackboard. They're using, I think it's one of the PhET sims on Faraday's Law, the one with the Faraday Law simulation, which is a Java program that it took a few of them a little while to get loaded, but everybody's got it working. So we did a lab on that, and then they did that on their own, and we just kind of talked. Did anybody have any questions? They uploaded it to Blackboard, and everybody seemed to do fine with that. And during class, I have a PowerPoint that I don't typically use, but I just kind of pulled it out of the resources, and we just kind of went through the week's PowerPoint, including a lot of the problems and stuff that were in the book. And I just posted that or shared that screen. And before we got through any page, we had a lot of writing and stuff like that on every page, and it wasn't all mine. So what direction is the current moving, clockwise or counterclockwise? How do you know? And all right, so had them interact with the presentation and stuff like that. So it worked pretty well because you can actually, you can write on the shared screen, and then they can write on the shared screen, and we just kind of chose to, what colors he was going to use, so it'd be a different color and stuff. So I thought it went pretty well. It's not ideal, but it seemed to be all right.
Thank you, Martin. Anybody else would like to introduce themselves here? Some people have introduced themselves in the chat.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Nuguste Trefesa from Manchester, Connecticut, and we started our class this week. So I use WebEx, which our system has, and WebEx for synchronous video lecture. So, and I go over the PowerPoint that I prepared. And so what I noticed was interesting was the attendance was really full all the time. They are actually there 5-10 minutes before I start. And unusually, they usually come in late. Some of them come late, but all of them were there. In fact, one of the students is in my second we meet twice. So second meeting said that this has been working really well. He said that, so what we do is I go over the lecture and then I let them take over sometimes the screen. So they annotate with the pen, they participate, so they give feedback. And when I start writing, they will, recommend or take they ask to share the screen and they write on it. So it worked well. All of them showed up. I was afraid that the system would crash. We were warned that everybody would be on WebEx at the same time. That's the system. So I was considering switching to Zoom, but this one worked well. So, and another thing I do is, so we also meet for office hours. I just send them either Zoom link or WebEx, and for office hours we meet, we go over that. And the labs has been challenging, but I used PhET to produce some of the labs, and then also I used Physlet Physics on Compadre. So that one has some exercises that they can assign. They can go run the animation and write. So I wrote up a little bit some things for them to do. So they do that and they submit. So that has been working. So textbook is I've been using OpenStax as one of our the presenter said OpenStax, and homework is Expert TA. So that has been working. So the one thing I'm still trying to figure out is I've gotten some ideas from people when they were talking today, but was about emailing labs has been really keeping track of the emails, like 35, 40 labs written and getting that has been, so that's something I need to think about. I'm trying to create, maybe ask them to upload on Blackboard. So I've already, asked them to do something like that, convert to PDF and share that one. That one it overwhelmed me when, 30 something, students send me in a matter of 2 days. So I have to organize them in a file and then put under their names labs. So I have to find a better way of doing that. Another thing that I am playing with is I have an iPad Pro from school. And iPad Pro, you can write with a digital pen on it. And I've been playing with it. You can really write on it as if you are writing on a board. And so if the internet is a little slow, that may be a problem, but I haven't tried. So I'll let you know if it works next week. So that's what I wanted to share. So, and we are working with Vernier to get Pivot as well. And we are in the process of purchasing it. So that's what I wanted to share.
Could I ask, you said you use WebEx so you could write on the screen. Is that available in Zoom too, where I could write on the screen, the students could write on the screen?
Let me see. I think it should. So it's annotation. So let me see if it is available on Zoom. Does anybody know if it is available on Zoom?
I'm looking at the bottom and I don't see anything.
Me too. I'm looking on it.
To write on the screen, the whiteboard?
Yeah, to write
There's
just.
Whiteboard.
Yes.
So,
on Zoom, there's a whiteboard.
When you use a PowerPoint, when you use PowerPoint, you can annotate on it using Zoom. I just discovered it yesterday, but I think
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
so you can annotate. It's just a little bit, slow, but I think in the last few days I got used to it, and we could do a little bit. So my idea is that for them to interact, so to keep them engaged, and then I post the PowerPoint lectures with the solutions for each one of the problems that we were looking at, so that they won't miss anything. But I think the idea of them interacting and then getting the main point just synchronous was the idea I had, because the class times are already set anyway. So they come in and they didn't complain. I asked them if they had any question, concerns that we need to change, and everybody so far seems okay, at least for the first week.
Did someone say there's a whiteboard in Zoom, or am I mistaken?
When you share the screen, when you click on sharing the screen, or you see several options. You see several options, and you would go, but you can use this whiteboard, or you can simply like share or use a PowerPoint and go to the drawing option of the PowerPoint. And then if you go to the drawing option of the PowerPoint, you can also write with your mouse.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Also, you can also share your iPad, connect your iPad, and that's easier to write on.
Yes, iPad Pro is very.
How are you sharing your iPad so far? Using with Zoom or?
Zoom, the same, the share area. Yes, the share screen. When you put the share, it gives you different
iPhone versus AirPlay.
iPad by cable or by AirDrop.
Thank you so much.
Okay, sorry, I've got one more question for you guys.
Make sure you try before, because you might have down.
Thank you.
When you guys do a presentation, let's say a PowerPoint presentation, and you'd like it to go full screen, how can you go full screen but still see the chat from Zoom?
I use WebEx, so I think I didn't have any issue with the full screen PowerPoint. I can write on it, annotate on it, and then they still can give me their, they can send me a note as well. So that has been okay. With WebEx, it was okay.
With me, I had a problem with that too, using the full screen. And if I tried to get around it, it actually would create a repeating screen.
I see.
So I had to shut it off. It was, so I don't know. I wish I had, something I could tell you on that.
I think it's fairly painless. And I just got on it without even trying to do it. I just had PowerPoint, and then I clicked on it and right-clicked, and there's a pointer, a laser pointer, or a pointer that you can write on. So it's just that you're not going to be writing as well as you would want with a pen. But yeah, those tools are right there. And for someone who's technologically challenged like me, if I can use it, you can.
Yeah, no, the concern is that I'd like to see the chat. And if I'm in full screen and I don't have dual monitors.
The chat is actually visible too. It is visible.
Okay.
Yeah, so I could see the chat when I was presenting. So everything was there. It's just the video wasn't as much. You had to move it around. But yeah, the chat's there too.
But it does help to have dual screens.
I have a question about iPad.
The problem with having dual screens is you have to. Sorry. The problem with having dual, you can have voice interference, so you have to make sure to turn completely down. The chat, when you have full screen, there's a little tab on the top that you can click on the chat, and then you can have it at the corner of your screen.
On this note, we are 5 minutes from 3 o'clock. Let me take over one thing, because what I've been finding so far, let me go over and share the screen, because we had here an outline for this meeting. And I know not everybody has introduced themselves, but we wanted, we'll go on with this next meeting as well. If we do another one next Friday, we will continue doing this, everybody sharing what has and has not worked for them. But I see that a lot of you want to share how-to information. And one thing that gave me an idea, I'm going to jump here to item number 5 over here. Item number 5 over here. Hopefully, are you all seeing the items of the agenda? There are 7 items. Yeah. So item number 5 here says volunteers to record how-to videos. So Regan had recorded a how-to video on how she's recording her pen and paper lessons and what tools she's using and etc. And it was a short video, and she did in what is it? Regan, the name? Chemostatic?
Oh, where was that?
Screencast-O-Matic.
Ah, Cast-O-Matic. There you go. And there you go. So she recorded that short video. I wonder whether there are more volunteers and people who would like to do those short recordings.
Where do I find that video?
How to, for instance, Faruzan, if you could record things on how you're using your how you're using your iPad, that would be great and helpful for everybody. Let me just tell you where we could then share this. The information about our meetings are found on the website of the committee website, right? So if you're in the committee website, I can send you the links again, but they are always underneath my signature, say, well, in some of the emails I've been sharing with you. But here you go, resources, and these are the resources, linked to resources shared during the Zoom meetings, okay? So this is what was shared that I remembered from the last Zoom meeting. So on the aviary physics aviary link, etc., the link of the video that Regan did about the pen and paper tools she uses, the recording of the Zoom meeting last time, the link for that, and the post-meeting survey results, which we would like to go over today, but let's see, we're getting short on time. But so I will post the main links and information about this meeting over here as well. So again, how do you go there? You are in the two-year college committee website and you go to resources. And right here is the red link here, because I have general resources over here too as well, Compadre, Sport, etc., right? But here about our Zoom meeting, so you click over here, you go to our Zoom meeting, so they will be here. So if people can record little videos, how-to videos to help, then they can send that, if you can post that in YouTube or something and send me the link, I will centralize all this over here, okay? The committee has a Google Drive. The committee has a Google Drive, so we have some space to post these things. It's not a lot, but if it is YouTube, etc., if it is links, for sure, we can post those things, no problem, okay? So if you can do that, if we have volunteers to do how-to, so that I see that there's a lot of need and a lot of questions are the how-to questions, right? So I'm thinking like 5 minutes how-to, this is what I do, this works for me. And even if it is, we don't need to coordinate so much. If two people are recording the same thing, it's not quite doing the same thing, so no problem. Just send it to me and we'll see if we have already a mini library about this next week, okay? So if you can do that, that'll be awesome. The next thing I wanted to say is, Greg, I think we're going to skip some highlights of the survey for now, but I have a little poll for you. So let's see here. The poll I have for you is the other poll. Ah, great. So I had another poll that I created later, and interestingly, it doesn't come out now. So anyway, the idea was, we were wondering if you have suggestions of where we could put resources. If we would like to share more resources. So Faruzan, you say you're going to have labs in YouTube. We're so interested in that. I recorded some labs and I shared with you through the email list, and so there are videos, and I'm looking for things like that. I can do the spreadsheets and things later on and use my own structures, but if I have the video, the recordings, that already helps a lot, or at least the student can understand how it's done. There are some traditional labs, physics labs, that you don't find recorded out there. I know there's Pivot and all, but some traditional physics labs, I'm having a hard time finding them. Of course, I can adapt and use other things, but if we could share more of those resources, that would be awesome. So I'd like to see if we can have volunteers to do this how-to videos, and Faruzan and whoever else said that they recorded videos and would like to share, please go send our ways, and we're gonna put this on the website. We would like to have a meeting next week with a special focus on tests and presentation on how you're doing your tests. So sort of how-to videos live here, presentations on tests. Can we do that?
She wants to create a video on how we do tests?
No, you don't need to do videos. We will just share our screens and see, here's my test, this is how I applied, this is how I done. So I really showing how you really done it, because showing once is a good idea, and the tools and whatever you've used. Okay, so many of us have ideas, but everybody's using slightly different things, and I see that there's still need for how-to information, right?
Yep.
I would say that's really needed, especially for me who's freaking out on tests. I mean, I wish I didn't have to give tests, but I have projects too. So giving another project or essay would be kind of crazy. You have to think about what the students are, their workload. Are they going to manage doing a whole bunch of projects? And so a test seems to be a good idea, but I've never done anything like that. So yeah, I wish it came yesterday.
Yeah, well, with time. Greg, if you want to chip in and say something about this now, but the survey was so good, and I would like to go over this with a little bit more time. We have the results of the survey you're seeing here shared on the screen, but I posted that on the website as well, the results of the surveys. And what we are finding here is that there's, well, there are many highlights you can find here, but is that people really would like to have more information about labs and exams. And concerning the labs, we're hoping that more and more material will pop up as people are still preparing them, right? There are many institutions that will really put things, do the drive test only next week. So hopefully more information, more and more resources will be popping up next week so that we can talk about it. But for now, I posted the results of the survey for all of you. Take a look if you can. And Greg, would you like to say anything, or we leave this discussion for next time again?
I think we can leave this discussion for next time, as people should be going. But if you have any questions, go ahead and email me and I'll let you know what I learned about from the survey.
Awesome. So email Greg, email me if you would like to give a presentation next week already, be lined up for something about tests. Many of you mentioned that you already have experience with tests. Show us what you're doing. So that would be awesome. Or don't even email me, just be there next Friday and be willing to present something quickly. Just share your screen and show to us specifically what you're using and what kind of tools, instruments, how much it costed, this or that you're using, okay? So more focus on tests next week if possible, and then go over again, if we can, the survey results. Are we good? Do we do another one next week?
Sounds good.
So for now, if I only have links coming in from you concerning how-to videos and anything like that, then it's fine. We can post in the committee website. But the moment we start getting bigger files and all, we'll have to open up this discussion. Where can we put these resources? Because I don't have a solution for that. So YouTube videos would be good. Just links. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming, and let's try again next Friday. I hope this has been useful for most of you. And we are past 3:05 now. So those of you who cannot stay any longer, if you please do what you need to do. And thank you for coming. And has this been useful for most of you again?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, thank you.
In the chat, anybody has a suggestion on for future meetings, anything else you would like specifically to see, send us the email to me or to Greg or to Tom Herring. Send email to whoever you know and they will forward it to us. Okay? So keep doing this.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank
you. Thank you, Glenda. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maggie, you're just coming in, but we just finished it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
when I don't know, I misread the email. I saw 2 o'clock and I said Central Time. Okay.
That's okay, Maggie. So it will be, it's recorded, and we'll send you the information, and also there's the whole chat that you can already copy and save. There's a lot of information there. We'll try to keep everything online. We're posting all this information on the committee website.
Okay, that's cool.
Great. So we hope to focus the next meeting on exams.
Okay.
To share specific information about exams. So people would like to share their screen and say, this is what I've been doing. This is specifically how I've been doing it.
That sounds good. I've got stuff for that. All right, well then I will say until next time.
Until next time. Thank you all for coming. They had a lot to share, Greg.
They did, which was good. I think breaking things into topical groups might be a good thing to do in the future. And next week, focusing on exams, I think would be really good too. Tony was saying, just as he said, that he's concerned. I think what I'll do is I'll send an exam to the two-year college group to have them take. Does that sound like a useful thing?
Yeah, that's
wow. Yes.
Could you not grade it? At least not mine.
I'll grade easy, I promise, just to show you how the grading works.
Yeah, that would be a good one for us.
Wow, that is a great idea.
That's a
yeah.
good idea.
I wish that's all I was doing for this entire time, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll do my homework and contact the other committees.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, cool. Well, Negusa, see you. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you. Yep, I'll see you.
Okay.
Yeah. That's good.
Staying healthy.
Staying healthy, yes. Yes, yes.
Cool.
It has been a lot of work, but I think the kids are okay. They like it, yeah.
So, Negus, we met at the last meeting, but I can't remember where you're from.
Here in Connecticut.
In Connecticut, okay.
Yes, yes.
And Theodore, I don't think we've met before. Where are you located?
HowTo Community College.
Where is that?
It's 10 minutes north of O'Hare Airport.
Ah, okay, very good.
Oh.
We had a big cluster from Chicago, the region there, and we had, and the Florida cluster too. They've been teaching.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Here
don't
in
worry
Oregon, sorry, go ahead, Theodore.
I was gonna say, don't worry so much about making mistakes. I make mistakes. I think I've been doing it long enough. I've just gotten comfortable. And I always have that one student who's like, "You forgot." I'm like, "Thank you so much." You know, so I just try and encourage them to find my mistakes. I always focus on the big picture. What's the big thing I want them to get? And so I think they sense that I got my train rolling down the way. And if there's a little bump, you know, I think it's good for them to find those mistakes. It tells me they're paying attention, and it makes them feel good when they say, "Oh, you made that cosine instead of a sine." You know, they're like, "Oh, I got this." You know, but I sort of maintain control by like, "Yeah, we're going over here. We'll come back. Thank you," kind of thing.
Yeah. You're not too worried about mistakes, but it's exhausting still.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how it is, but you kind of have to think about preparing for classes. Kids are around, and the kids have been very good. It's just that it's a different format. You're writing on a whiteboard that's different, and you're not even sure that students are getting it. I've actually been teaching a lot slower, and I feel like sometimes I've been too fast even. But I've slowed it really down, that it's just, and yet even with that slow speed, you're not so sure whether the students are getting it or they're not, and you can't see some other students. So it puts you in a state where you're like, you don't know what's going on. And the students are like that too. when are we going to have exams? What's going on with that? And you're like, oh, you know, I don't know exactly. I'm going to do this, but, you know, it's just, that's the tough part. It's not so much, the students are very forgiving, but it's just that so many uncertainties and you don't know whether they get sick or something like that. It's just, that's all.
Yeah, I've decided, and that's the discussion. So we weren't required to meet this week because it was another week off, but I wanted to train them how to use Meet before we had class. So it was just like a Meet meeting. And I asked them what they would want, you know, what would help them learn online. And I reiterated, this is an emergency situation. I know you're under a lot of stress. Actually, one class, I do the thumb thing. So anyone ever done the thumb thing? Like, I don't know, or yeah. And so one of my classes, so they're typical 18 to 20-year-olds. They're like, I'm invincible. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. And they're like, oh, I'm fine, no stress. You know, but then, you know, you have those other students that are more late 20s, 30s, and they're like, oh, I'm freaking out, man. You know? So I try and calm them down, and I told them, well, let's just do a quiz on each chapter. I'll finish a chapter. Whenever we get through that content, we'll just have a quiz on that. Because I really, honestly, at this point, I don't know how much I'm going to cover. I got 6 weeks left. They're all freaking out. We've lost a week because of, you know, the crisis. And like you said, they're not taking it in as fast, even though they say they're fine. I bet they're all got stuff going on in their head. And I think we should cut ourselves some slack, because I doubt Harvard's getting through everything. I'm sorry, you know, they're in the same boat we are. Even if their students may be supposedly brighter or whatever, you know, I think you just get through what you can. For my physics 1, for example, I just want to get through energy, momentum, and finish Newton's third law. And then I'm going to take topics from everything else, because, you know, everything else is just an application of that, right? Simple harmonic motion. And so hopefully if I get the big things down, when they come in the next class, you know, they can apply those basic concepts, and they've seen some examples. With my E&M class, I'm doing pretty good on time so far, and that's the really engaged class. They have a good time with each other. So, because I've had 2 semesters to build up the community, and so I think I'll be okay with that. But as one person mentioned, how do you do this on a screen? I don't know how that's gonna. But you know, laugh at it. You know, they're freaking out. Like, yeah, I know, I don't know, man. Because what's gonna happen? You know, if you don't have your computer screen mirrored right. It's just gonna, you know, just laugh with it. Things are gonna go wrong, and just laugh with it. They'll laugh, and you just kind of move on. I'm sorry, go ahead, Greg.
It's gonna have to be the left-hand rule for me now, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to add on, sorry.
No, you look great. I love the light shining on you there. It looks good.
Oh, can you see? So I think, yeah, you brought a very good point. One thing that happened to be that, you know, I'm not fast when I teach, actually, but the students say that
you're sharing the screen. You don't need to share the screen. You know that, right?
Maybe you clicked on something. You may have clicked on something.
Let me go back.
You don't need to share the screen. We hear you, and your face will pop up. You don't need to share.
That's okay.
So one thing I realized based on, you know, is that I thought I was going fast, but normally don't go fast. But one thing they liked is they covered half of what I normally cover in class, in the class period. But they were happy. They were, you know, they were participating. They were, you know, engaged. They showed up. They stayed there. So you're right that it is not easy to cover. So I looked back and said, you know, I'm going to just reevaluate what I was going to try to teach. So that's where I am now. And I gave them quiz on Blackboard, for example, and just to see how they are doing. We were scheduled for quiz. And it seems that, you know, they did very well. But what changed one thing is they don't come to office hour, for example. I say, you know, I'm here, please come afterwards. Now, you know, I send them link, you know, WebEx or Zoom link, and they show up, we go over material, we discuss it. So that has been there, but the content coverage is really, as you said, it's a crisis time. So we just have to make a decision on what's reasonable to achieve at this point, really.
We had a department meeting also on Zoom just yesterday. It was the most well-attended meeting. It seems that meetings now on Zoom are so well-attended. Yeah, like never before. And in our department meeting, our chair was saying that we're required to do the office hours now in one specific chat room, so that we use Blackboard. So we're all going to have to go during our office hours official inside this video conference room with our names and check in like time cards. And we're going to have to do that. And this is already, we have tutoring hours, so that we are paying student tutors to tutor, and they're doing the same thing. That's fine, but not fine with us, but it's okay. Basically, our office hours, we answer emails at any time, unless when I'm sleeping, and then I don't answer it. Anyway, but we will have to now do office hours like that. And in our lab assistants, they are inside our Blackboard website as well, and they need to be available to the students during the time of our classes as well. This is all they're doing to save their jobs, according to what my department chair says, so that they at least they have become more active. That's what's going on.
Yeah, they haven't been that strict with us. I was just going to have office hours right after my class and record that as well. And if anyone wants to stick around after class and ask me questions, and then, it's going to be a long recording, but if someone wants to skim through all that and find what they need, I'm still worried. While we were sort of talking here during the meeting, I was just checking. I use Mastering Physics, and I was checking who's been doing their homework, and I've got like 5 or 6 people, just 0, 0, 0, 0 out of 23, 22 students. And I got to send out some emails and try and get ways to get them to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So our overall enrollment at my college is down 16% so far. And again, remember, we're in spring break right now. The STEM classes haven't been hit. My class is still at over 100% enrollment, as are many of the other STEM classes. So it seems like the non-STEM majors are more likely to be students who we really have to keep touch with.
I'm more concerned about next fall. If our students aren't working this summer, what our enrollment's going to be like in the fall. Yeah, so I guess my hope is hopefully this gets, things are better by August or September and we can go back, but I don't know.
We just got an email from our dean that the title says heads up for summer, and they want us to consider, online teaching in a similar way because they don't expect it to come back before fall. So, and I was, basically saying, is this going to be a normal? I mean, they think that this is going well, and they would like us to actually continue to teach online. The crisis that we had, I think we had this discussion. We had a crisis, but this is going to be a normal for summer. Think about your, classes for summer online because we may not be back face to face. And I found that to be interesting because, the administration will like to continue this kind of teaching. So
they already canceled, we got an email, they canceled all the classes that weren't online for the summer, that weren't already listed as an online course. And then they pushed registration for the fall to May from the beginning of April. So they're not sure what to do with fall yet, I don't think.
Real quick, Glenda, are you still recording?
Yeah.
You could stop and we could still chat. What you